So I just got back from seeing Scream 7 and I thought I would give a very honest review about this movie. When I saw the trailer, I didn't have really high hopes. I felt like the lighting was a bit too bright for like a horror movie in general, let alone a Scream movie. It was just giving a Netflix production. Whether you want to take that as an insult or not, I just think it's a bit too bright and I felt like it didn't really suit the vibe of a Scream movie. And I also felt like they gave away too much in the trailer as to what was going to happen in the movie, and I really didn't enjoy that. I'm gonna just get my opinion straight out. I rated this a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I feel like that's a pretty fair review. It was neither good, neither was it bad in my opinion. I feel like if you're a Scream fan, you should go to see it anyway to get your own opinion, because it might be completely different to mine. And as much as I tend to be biased with horror movies and horror franchises that I love, this one I feel like I'm very level-headed and can be trusted when it comes to my opinion on this one. I'm gonna try and keep this as spoiler-free just as much as I can for this part, but I'm gonna go into the spoilers later on. If you don't want to watch that, then I'll put up a little notice to say to obviously get off the video if you're not interested in that. So the things I liked about this movie, I thoroughly enjoyed them bringing back different characters. I'm not going to explain for what, because that is a spoiler in its own right. So the thing is with this movie is I would say that it is enjoyable. It's definitely entertaining. I don't feel like this movie is bad by any means. I do think it's enjoyable. I think it's definitely entertaining. I just don't think it's memorable. The issue is that I'm right now, bearing in mind I left the cinema maybe an hour ago, and I can't tell you anything that stood out for me other than that. And that's where I have a problem with this. So would I recommend this movie? I would if you're a Scream fan, or even if you're not, I feel like you might just think it's like a fun little slasher flick. Would I watch it again? I wouldn't be in any rush to necessarily. Do I feel like it should have stayed a trilogy? Absolutely. And I will stand on that. I feel like it would have been the perfect trilogy, but I get it. It makes money and people want to see more, and that's absolutely okay. I even quite enjoyed 5 and 6. 4 was fine. 5 and 6 weren't that bad. A lot of people hated them, but I didn't think they were that bad. I thought they were okay. So I do completely understand the whole like wanting more out of these movies, but I feel like they could have just stopped. And we are seeing now them trying to pull at all the strings they can to keep this franchise going. And as I said, it's not that I think it's bad, it's just more that I'm just not going to go around and be recommending this movie by any means to anyone anytime soon. So since I told you the things that I did like about it, I'll tell you things I don't really like about it without trying to give too much away. So I didn't really like the lighting in this movie. I feel like at any point if you were to be like, this is a High School Musical movie, I would fully believe you. And like how obvious Ghostface was, I felt like it was kind of as soon as you see that person on camera, you go, that's Ghostface, which isn't ideal for these kind of movies because it's kind of meant to be a little bit of like, oh, I wonder who it is. Oh, it can't be them. Oh, it is. No, it's not. You know, you're constantly changing your mind as you watch the movie. But I felt like it was almost immediate, yeah, it's them. And that was kind of how I felt throughout the entire film. I also didn't really love that you see the entire first kill scene in the trailer. Like, there is no part of that you probably haven't seen in the trailer already, so that kind of made me a bit like, like I would have liked to have seen a little bit more, like have them like change it or something like that. But I guess if they're just trying to advertise the movie in that way, then they did it. I just feel like I would have left a little bit up to interpretation and not just have the entire thing just in the trailer. I would say my final critique with this is that I don't really like how it's paced. I had it slow at the beginning where I started to forget I was watching a Scream movie, and then you get a little bit of something, it then stops again for a minute, and then all of a sudden it's just everything, and then the movie's finished. So I'm gonna get into the spoilers now, so if you don't want any spoilers, I would recommend you click away from this video. Basically, I'm gonna just do a quick rundown of this movie, so if you don't want to watch it, then I will try and explain for you as much as I can remember of it, as well as I can, and then you don't have to ever really worry about it. So obviously the first kill scene is the scene that you see in the trailer with the couple that go to the Stumacher house. They get killed in the typical Ghostface fashion, and then Ghostface burns the house down, and that is the opening scene. We then get into a recreation of the first bedroom scene that Sydney has with Billy Loomis in the first Scream movie, but only this time it's her daughter Tatum and her boyfriend, who I believe is called Ben, they kind of do the same kind of thing, but obviously Sydney walks in and is like, absolutely not, because of what she's witnessed in her past. So the entire movie is essentially focusing around Sydney and her daughter now being the new victim for Ghostface, based off of Ghostface's motive, which I'll get into. I don't like the motive and I think it's a bit dumb personally, but whatever. The whole thing is Tatum being like, I'm weak and I'm defenseless and you named me after your dead friend who's a victim, so you thought I would always be a victim. That was, you know, this was like a constant argument within this movie, and I did start to just go, okay. That being said, I really did like that Sydney and her husband Mark were very, very good in this movie when it came to the whole fighting Ghostface thing. They were very well prepared. She had her own little Laurie Strode moment of prepping her house and prepping everyone in that house to be ready for if anything was about to happen, which I thought was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that bit. Another issue, which you might not see as an issue, I feel like some people might like this, and I understand if you do like it. I just didn't really care for it that much. They try and do a moment where they are constantly trying to get you to second guess yourself as to who you think Ghostface is. And I guessed this immediately. And I feel like this was probably spoiled for a lot of people already. I noticed there was a lot of spoilers. I luckily avoided them. But even without spoilers, I knew for a fact it was the mum next door, who is played by Anna Camp, I'm pretty sure. And her immediate body language and her immediate aura, if anything, was just such a giveaway that it was her. And her having a horror movie crime fanatic son, like, come on. So they do this thing where they have random people that are Ghostface essentially throughout this movie. So there is 3 Ghostface in total. One of them gets killed pretty quickly into the movie to kind of be like, this couldn't be the Ghostface because why was it over that fast kind of thing. And it's just a random guy that shows up at Sydney's coffee shop, which we now see is an escaped mental patient that has been hired by Ghostface to act out this killer moment and try and go for Tatum and go for Sydney. This happens twice, but it happens the first time and they get killed, but the second time is when they are teamed up with Anna's character and they capture Tatum, essentially. Which is just like a good way to throw off the audience in terms of who they think Ghostface is. I just felt like we were kind of reaching to a degree because Ghostface has always kind of had more relevant motive. I really didn't like the motive of this Ghostface. Their motive was that they were in an asylum because they killed their husband. They were reading Sydney's book and then they were like, we can't have any final girls. No, she needs to die. I just don't understand why that would be what they would come up with as the motive. I was hoping that they would somehow relate it a little bit further back. Like at least 5 and 6 had Richie just being obsessed with the movies, like absolutely obsessed. And then obviously with the 6th movie they had Detective Bailey and his son and daughter, who were Richie's brother and sister. That kind of made sense because at least they were avenging something. But what do you mean she read a book and went, we can't have Sydney around anymore? Like, what? Maybe the reason why I feel like everything was just too quick as it got towards the end was the fact they have a bar scene where obviously Mindy and Chad are also there. I did enjoy them coming back. I do like them 2 characters very much. I have them both with all of the kids that are friends with Tatum. And this entire scene, once Tatum and her boyfriend leave, all of these kids just get killed. Every single one of them, minus Mindy and Chad. They obviously survive because they just do. But they do get hurt, but they survive. It just felt like everyone dying that instantly was just a bit, I don't know, I felt like it was a bit boring because it was just everyone at once, when normally I feel like it's like oh my god, I just found out my friend's died, another like a few minutes, and then oh my god, no, another one, instead of it being like oh this person, oh no, oh everyone's dead, you know. With the bar scene, they do have a kill that is a very much like a Terrifier type kill, where it's just like a silly kind of kill, and I did enjoy it. I just felt like it was trying too hard. I'm sorry. So I don't even think this would actually work if this was a real kill. I don't know, maybe someone would know, I don't know. The son of Ghostface, the horror fanatic guy, he gets his head impaled on one of the beer taps, which is spiked, and when he does, his mouth opens and then the beer pours through his mouth with blood. And as much as it was like, oh, that's kind of funny, like I get they're trying to do like a funny death or whatever, it just felt a bit like, okay. I did think it was like, oh, that's interesting. I feel like they really are trying to hone in on like the can we get a crazy memorable death by any means kind of way, especially because I feel like when they kill Ghostface, where it is like the actual Ghostface, that kill was actually better because it was a constant shooting to the face where eventually the face was just shot so many times it just fell off, and I preferred that way more than the beer tap kill personally. Also with this, they try and lead you on that Stu Macher is the killer the entire time, but then it turns out it's just someone doing like a deep fake AI type situation of him, which I think was kind of gonna be obviously the case anyway, especially because they promoted this movie using AI, which I thought was definitely questionable. It was obviously nice to see him for me because I love Stu Macher. I think he's one of the best ghost faces. He's definitely the most entertaining and funniest one of them all. It obviously was never going to be him because he's definitely dead, and I feel like it was, you know, it's very obviously he was dead. And obviously because he was AI, they then used that at one point towards the end of the movie, I would say pretty much the final scene of like uncovering who Ghostface is, where she is in her house and every single screen, essentially as she goes to a different screen in her house, it's a different person that is Ghostface. So it has Nancy Loomis, she's on the screen, which I thought was quite cool. Roman was also on the screen, which also was cool. They even had Dewey. I did like that. I thought it was cool to see the familiar faces. That for me is where it kind of peaked for me. I would say that was the best part, was just being able to see that. I would say that's more based on the fact that I'm like, wow, nostalgic, you know? Like I get to see all those characters again. That's really cool. And I fucking love Dewey so much. Also, Mark gets stabbed so many times and just doesn't die, and he was like bleeding out for like 2 hours, I would assume, and I thought that was a bit interesting, but it's a movie, I guess, right? In all, it's not bad, it's just not memorable. That is all really what I can say about it. Ghostface was too obvious, the lighting wasn't great, and I just kind of lost interest a few times. There was one very cringy line in it, and I get that they have a cringy line because they have the whole, not in my movie. I get that, but being like, I'm Sydney fucking Prescott's daughter. Stop. But I hope that you enjoyed my opinions. Anyway, if you want to get your own opinion, of course, go and see this movie for yourself. Don't let me being a bit negative about it change your mind if you really want to go and see it, because you might enjoy it. You never know. You might think Jade was wrong and I thought all of this was actually pretty cool and all pretty fun, and I could not tell who Ghostface was at all. But I don't know if that would be the case. But I'm gonna still love Scream forever and always. Me and Ghostface will always be like this. I would love to know anyone else's opinions, whether you want to see this, whether you don't want to see it, or whether you have seen it and you love it or you hate it. Let me know. So once again, thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you hopefully in the next review. Hopefully I can do another one soon. Bye.